Good evening, City Spidey viewers. Today we have a very special guest with us. Rather, we have many guests. They say that heroes wear capes. However, our heroes in today's shows are not wearing capes. They are wearing masks, rather double masks. They are wearing aprons. And let me welcome, without much ado, Dr. Kalpana Nagpal. Kalpana Nagpal and Mr. Sadanand Reddy and her team. They are joining us from the Amar Colony Center for COVID Care that they have established. I will quickly, for all the viewers who have joined in the live, I'll run through Kalpana Nagpal, Dr. Nagpal's profile. She's a senior consultant and a robotic surgeon uh, of the Department of ENT Head and Neck Surgery at Apollo Indraprasth Hospital. And she has been extremely busy, and I'm really grateful on behalf of City Spidey for taking out time to answer our questions today. And before we ask specific questions, the doubts lingering in our mind, we are going to ask her at the outset the first question, and that is the role of community in COVID care. She started this free COVID care center in Amar Colony, and ma'am joins us live from that particular center. Very nice of you, ma'am. Kindly tell us about the center and the effort and the way you are reaching out to people in this second wave, which has seen a lot of distress, deaths, and a lot of pain around us. So, how are you doing your bit in addressing this?
Well, namaste to all. Yes, I've been a senior consultant in Indraprasth Apollo Hospital for more than 20 years. For the first time, when I've been witnessing this pandemic live, the second pandemic, I've been seeing a lot of patients suffering around me. As doctors, we get a lot of phone calls every day, and most of them were in distress asking for beds and oxygen. The second pandemic has been deadly, as you all know. We have lost many lives. Even doctors have succumbed to it. So, seeing all this suffering, I thought I must do something, to the society. We thought we should contribute something to the society, and that's how this started. But well, without Mr. Sadanand Reddy, this couldn't have been possible. He has been a constant support from day one. Now he is MD Gold Star Healthcare Company Private Limited. And Mr. Akshit is a friend of, I have a friend, gynecologist, Dr. Diksha Tyagi. She's an IVF specialist, and Akshit Tyagi is her son. So he has also been volunteering and taking care of the administrative work. So we together have been running this free center in Amar Colony. It's in A Pocket, it's in a school, and now it is a makeshift hospital. The entire treatment that we have been providing is as per Apollo protocols. So we're giving standard treatment, whether it is oral medications, take care of everything. And a lot of sick patients have recovered, and they've been very thankful to us. So we are taking mild and moderate cases actually. Severe or critical cases we do not take, only because we do not have an ICU backup. So this is giving us immense satisfaction, and without our team, it is not possible. There are a lot of doctors and nurses in the facility itself, and we have 24/7 medical care. And Mr. Sadanand Reddy and Akshit Tyagi are taking care of the administration, taking care of their needs. Like, for example, last evening it was very cold. So Mr. Sadanand Reddy went at about 10 o'clock and got blankets for the patient. And similarly, we have been, getting medications every day ourselves. We even got remdesivir for some of the patients who required. We have been administering IV methylprednisolone. We have been administering all the high-end antibiotics if at all the patient required. We have been doing lab tests regularly, like inflammatory markers, etc. For all the patients, it is zero cost. So, it is giving me great, immense satisfaction that we are able to do something for the society, and I'm sure the feeling is the same for them also. So I would like them also to speak one or two lines.
Definitely. Uh, Mr. Reddy, please
Good
tell
evening.
us. Good evening. Good evening. I will ask you a specific question that ma'am told us about the mild and moderate cases. What is the role of these outdoor hospitals, हम बाकी दर्शकों के लिए बीच में हिंदी में भी बोलेंगे, तो जो आउटडोर हॉस्पिटल्स हैं उसका क्या किरदार है, उनका क्या किरदार है, बिकॉज ऐसे हालात में माइल्ड और मॉडरेट केसेस ज्यादा होती है और उनको ठीक करना कोविड केयर में बहुत अहम होता है. तो ऐसे में व्हाट काइंड ऑफ सर्विसेज आर यू प्रोवाइडिंग एंड ये सेंटर शुरू करने की आइडिया कैसे आया?
देखिए, एक्चुअली डेली हम जो है ना, बिकॉज वी आर इनटू हॉस्पिटल इंडस्ट्री, दो आई लेफ्ट हॉस्पिटल इंडस्ट्री ऑलमोस्ट 7 years back. Okay, I moved to different industry because of the relations we are having since 87 with the same healthcare facility. We used to get lot of calls because everybody needed bed. But whereas other side they're talking about oxygen, other side they're talking about some medication. Because when we are seeing all kind of problems, actually we found actually whatever existing infrastructure of this country, it is not possible to take care. That is the reason we, with the help of people like Dr. Kalpana, because they are into medical, where they can give facilitation and we can infrastructure we can get from different people. You know, setting up and hospitals is not a big thing because we have done it with almost 17 hospitals. I did myself actually. That is the reason we thought, let us club all of hands actually, pull the people, try to get it done actually, and at the earliest possible, we try to make this almost 35 bed. We started with capable of extending to 50 bedded actually. Within, if you can, you cannot believe that, you know, within 24 hours of the school which we got it actually, Saraswati Bal Mandir actually, they were able to make it ready actually with everything. 24/7 they work. Accordingly, we were able to 7th itself we start admitting the patients actually. But main thing is actually, when you have will to do that actually, automatically you can do that. And medication also, it was scattered because everybody wants to stock themselves. It is not real scarcity in the market, but people themselves, they created their own. Somebody was capable of having 10 options and they can store it, whereas one can take care of so many people, but it never happened actually. That is the reason we try to create a lot of people this awareness and started this actually.
So if COVID patients are showing certain symptoms, and if they want to get themselves, I mean, those symptoms are mild and moderate, how can they get in touch with such hospitals? Because I've seen the role that field hospitals play in a city like Mumbai, where a lot of positivity, the recovery rate could reduce because of the role that field hospitals played. So how can societies, cooperative housing societies in Delhi and NCR come forward and set up field hospitals? Can you just tell us about a little bit, both of you, both of my guests, about the wherewithal that is required to set up such an hospital?
Well, first of all, it is the willingness. Before even starting in the school, we did approach a lot of associations in Delhi. There are a lot of big bhavans in Delhi. You're also aware. We approached Andhra Association, Andhra Bhavan, and there are a lot of other bhavans also, like Tilak Bhavan and all that. I don't know why the government has kept these bhavans closed. All this should have been open for community care, especially when we did not have beds, and especially when people were running from pillar to post, and people have died on their way to the hospitals. Outside the hospital gates, people were pleading with the administrative staff to give them beds. Even old people were standing for their grandchildren to get some beds. But unfortunately, the government has had a slow response. All of us have been witnessing this, and that is how this makeshift hospital has helped. It is not only to treat poor patients; it is also for well affordable. We have even people who are who can afford otherwise a private hospital, but at that point of time they did not get bed, and that is why they are here. And not only that, if a particular patient has been admitted in a private hospital for a couple of weeks, and then because of inflated bills they're not unable to further continue their stay there in the hospital, but they've recovered and not completely recovered, our hospital is open for them, because obviously for everybody it's difficult to pay such inflated bills. So any kind of patient is welcome. We're trying to promote through social media. We just recently, because first 2 weeks it was immense hard work in setting up the place. So all three of us were busy in that, along with the staff of Saraswati Bal Mandir. But now This is the first time we have, you're taking this interview, and a couple of other Telugu media, people interviewed us, and another one from Discovery Channel. But this is the, I would like to, request you to promote this awareness to even people living outside Delhi, because currently Delhi situation is probably a little better, but people in UP and Haryana, Punjab and Jammu, they're still looking for beds. We are welcoming anyone. This facility is welcome for any person of any religion, caste, creed. There is no bar. It is even possible even for international patients who have been stuck here, and then they got COVID. They're unable to go back to their homes. They're very, very welcome. So it is free of cost for everyone.
Doctor, it is said that the initial few days are very crucial in treatment, in segregation as well as in treating the patients. So how important it is for patients to reach such a hospital, and how important it is in the treatment, in the COVID treatment, how important it is to get admitted as early as possible.
Yes. Now, this I have been advising over online consultations. Every day as doctors, we receive at least 30 to 40 on an average online consultations. So most people have mild symptoms and they can be treated at home. But we clearly tell them that if the oxygen starts dropping below 95, especially in elderly people or people with comorbidities, they should be more careful, and they can come and get shifted to such makeshift hospitals where they can be observed 24/7. And then, medications can be started timely, rather than following this WhatsApp university where there is a standard, WhatsApp message that's going on that everybody should get D-dimer, IL-6, CRP. This is all nonsense. Doctors have to decide when these tests have a role, who has to get it done, at what stage of the disease. Similarly, CT scan. A lot of people have been going around. As soon as it is positive, they go for CT scan. It doesn't make any sense. CT scan is not required in the first 2 or 3 days. In fact, the CT score will be very less and it will be very dicey. Patient would think, okay, they have mild disease. But it is the wrong time to get it. And many people do not require CT. So it is the doctor who has to decide. After all, doctors have done their graduation, post-graduation, and many, many years of hard work, and, they have experience and they know how to treat. So I would advise patients not to, self-medicate or go for treatment, to any quacks. They have to consult registered medical practitioners and go according to their advice.
That's very useful, ma'am. I have a few more medical questions, but before that, again, I'll try to reiterate for the viewers who have just joined with us. So we have Mr. Reddy, who has been who's a MD, and this picture really describes how things should happen, because we have a medical practitioner of so many years, that is you, doctor, and we have someone from the management side of things. So people who want to establish such outdoor hospitals, there are institutions who have the space, and there are people who have the money. So then how such people can get together? And you have done your bit, but if there is this kind of partnership between doctors and management minds, then how they can work and how they can do more such initiatives?
Right. First of all, the doctors and nurses have to be paid well. This is how we have ensured that our facility, all the doctors and nurses are paid well. Hourly basis, we have told them how much they'll be paid, and that is how we have got, a set number of doctors and nurses that we require. If you do not pay, then, first of all, it is not fair to ask them to work in COVID wards and not pay them. They should be provided good incentives. So people who are going to be opening such places for field hospital work, they should make sure that they would be treating their medical staff very well in terms of payment as well as incentives, even though it's going to be free for patients. So this is one requirement. And of course, people like Sadanand Reddy ji, who have a lot of experience in admin, they know from where to procure beds, where to procure oxygen, how to set them up. He even knows how the gas connection lines have to be, installed, and several things. He knows, what are the types of cylinders, A type, B type, D type. He'll know, he knows all the intricacies of this, because he has been buying such items, materials for hospitals for several years.
Ma'am, I'll ask another connected question, and that is about vaccination. The vaccination is going on full flow, and people are trying to get their jab. Okay, there's one question that, of course, it's for a larger debate, the availability of vaccines and so on and so forth. However, once the more and more vaccines start trickling in, what role can the society play in ensuring that the vaccines are the wastage is reduced, and second, more and more vaccines reach the people? Because I heard in certain cities like Mumbai, the municipal corporation is tying up with big societies to administer vaccination programs. So how can we involve the community? Once we have a good supply of vaccine, how can we involve the community so that vaccination is fast, efficient, and widespread?
Well, that has already been on my mind. Now, this center, for example, we can open a particular, a corner for this vaccination program, provided the government cooperates. It is very important for small such centers in every colony to open up for vaccinations, because the idea is to vaccinate as many as possible. Vaccinating just 20% of the population, 30% of the population doesn't make any sense. By the time we actually achieve vaccination for the entire community, we might have many waves, and then we might lose many, many more people. So in order to prevent that, we must hasten up the vaccination program, get as many vaccinated as possible. And that is possible only if there are multiple centers that are opened up. Every colony, every street should have at least one vaccination center. For example, we have medical staff here. So once this pandemic goes down, these patients will get discharged and the medical staff will still be available. They can be used up for vaccination programs. So the local MLA or the Delhi government can contact us for this purpose. We are willing to do this vaccination job also, so that we can at least provide 100 vaccinations a day. It is no point still. I mean, our limitations are such that sometimes the vaccine not available, there are no stocks, and this is very sad, because doctors, we are already overwhelmed with our work, and we do not want a bad third wave where everybody will get exhausted, patients will die. No. So this is the time we should have multiple vaccination centers and lots of vaccinations coming into our country, whether it is anything, whether it is Pfizer, Moderna, Covishield, Covaxin, or even the Russian Sputnik vaccine, doesn't matter, but we should get as many as possible, and we are willing to even reduce the charge and give it. We will raise a campaign, raise funds, and even provide free vaccination for people, but provided we get permission. So first, the government has to give us permission, allow such centers to start the vaccination program, and then we will make it easy for us to procure the vaccines. There are people from Bihar and Jharkhand and Jammu calling me also and asking if I can provide them vaccinations. It is so sad that I don't have an answer. So the government has to help us. Now, for example, we have this student, Mr. Akshit here. He's had only one vaccination, right? And he's yet volunteering for this work. He's coming to the COVID center every day. We must appreciate such students. He's there all day. He makes an account of, the expenses. He takes care of the bills, medical bills, day-to-day supplies that we get. And even other small little work. Sometimes he runs around to get, medicines for us. Sometimes there's an urgent requirement and then he goes and gets it. The other day, even the police fellow stopped him asking for curfew pass and all that. But what I'm saying is, we must appreciate such students, such people who are coming forward to do community work should be even given incentives, like at least certificates from the government, appreciating that these are, this is commendable work, and such volunteers should always be given big certificates from so-called leaders. And yes, we are all ready to start a vaccination center as soon as possible. If City Spider can help us, we are ready for it.
Definitely. I had one question about lockdowns. Like there is a lockdown and the figures are coming down. However, in the long run, once more and more people get vaccinated, how we have to get away from this culture of lockdowns, or what could be the right way from a people's awareness point of view, ma'am? And then I had a question about fungal infections, but first a question about lockdowns.
Once people follow strict COVID protocols, lockdowns are not necessary actually. Even in the Western countries, already in many countries where people are vaccinated, there is already an announcement saying that people who are vaccinated can stop wearing masks. I don't agree with that, because once you stop wearing masks, once you're vaccinated, it doesn't mean you're completely immune. As you're seeing that even post 2 vaccinations, people have succumbed. So we have to follow strict COVID protocols despite vaccination, whether vaccinated or not. The mask should continue, the sanitization part should be taken care of, and social distancing also. All this will continue for even the next 2 years to come, and it can be forever also, to prevent other viral diseases. So this is a good culture, no harm in adopting this, and this should be considered as a norm now, rather than every time getting excited. Now pandemic is getting over, slowing down. People would now be ready to go to the malls and restaurants and take away the mask, and also gather crowds, etc. I don't agree with that. We all should be taking care of this. This carelessness will cause a lot of risk, a lot of lives actually.
Yeah, from a patient information standpoint, ma'am, we are listening that this steroids are quite effective in the line of treatment. However, there are counter-indicative reports of reduced immune system and fungal infection, and there are a lot of messages doing the rounds on WhatsApp universities. So, from a patient information standpoint about fungal infection, what kind of awareness would you like to raise? You are also a kind of celebrated ENT surgeon. So, what is this fungal infection all about, and how one should be careful?
Right. Now, this fungal infection is called mucormycosis. It is a group from mucormycetes, and it is an opportunistic fungal infection. Opportunistic meaning when a patient's immunity is compromised, it will, thrive in such patients. So anybody complaining of numbness of the face, numbness of the jaw, or blindness, or blurring of vision, or swelling in and around the eye, blockage in the nose, or something in the ulcer in the palate, or in the tongue, or in the oral cavity in general, any of this, or loosening of tooth, or a severe headache, any of this can be symptoms of mucormycosis. Now, especially people who have suffered COVID recently are likely to develop mucormycosis because they have been subjected to high doses of steroids. That is why what I'm trying to say is self-medication is very wrong. A lot of people are starting steroids on the second day of disease itself. Now, these are the people who can develop mucormycosis. Now, as doctors also, sometimes, people in the periphery and in rural areas, they're giving very high doses from the beginning. Actually, it's the steroid dosages and indications should be discussed with the experts only who have treated COVID. And the second is, there are several patients, like patients suffering from diabetes and chronic kidney disease and cancer, as well as other immunosuppressive conditions, like people who have had transplants, whether it's kidney transplant, liver transplant, or bone marrow transplant, and even any other cause. It can be any other autoimmune disease where their immunity is altered. Such are the people who will develop mucormycosis. Now, the other thing which has been recently observed, why only in this pandemic, it is something to do with the hygiene of the concentrators as well as the humidifiers. Hygiene is very important, because world over everybody is getting steroids, and how come mucormycosis is only seen in India? There is something to do with the hygiene part also. So I would advise all the patients to keep good hygiene, change their mask every day, and keep it dry, keep it in the sunlight. And these are the things which can prevent fungal infections. And
yes,
if at all these symptoms are there, they have to go and see ENT specialist or an eye specialist as soon as possible, and a nasal endoscopy will be done, or an imaging if it is required will be done, or concerned blood tests will be done, and as soon as possible they must get treated, because it's not a good disease. It's a very a disease with a very poor prognosis, and sometimes it's life-threatening, especially if it has involved the brain, or if it has involved the eye, which means it has already crossed the borders of the sinuses, which is called rhinocerebral or rhinoocular mucormycosis. In such cases, the prognosis is very, very poor.
That's extremely useful. Another lingering question that is there in everyone's mind, including a parent like myself, is children. There is a lot of talk about vaccine trials for children. There is a lot of talk that in the third wave, which is likely to come in October, I'm not spreading any panic. So, but if in the wake of the third wave, it may impact children more. So, what care does one need to take about children, and how soon you think that we can launch vaccination for children?
As I said, vaccines have to be made readily available, whether it is any age group. All age groups have to be receiving by now. In fact, it is very sad to know that we have lost a lot of school teachers. I do not know if you're aware of that. Every school, there are a lot of teachers, at least 4 to 5 in every school have died only for this reason, because they did not get their vaccination on time. Whether it is a teacher or their spouse or their family member, they have lost only because they were going to the school. They were made to go because of exams and for taking care of the exams and paper correction, etc. And they have succumbed to the disease. So similarly, children. Recently, I have been treating COVID patients who are 15-year-old and who are 8-year-old. There is no age bar for COVID. COVID can catch anyone, even infants. Even a 2-month-old baby was admitted with COVID recently. So COVID can affect anybody, and therefore vaccination has to be available for everybody, and it is the basic citizen right. So our Prime Minister and all the leaders in India have to make sure that every citizen in India gets the vaccination, and this is our basic right. In fact, I don't know who's going to be accountable for all these deaths that are going on. That is why it is saddening, and that is why we opened this hospital. Wish we can start such, many hospitals, provided people give us premises and, provided we get medical staff. The 3 of us are willing to start more than 5 centers also. It is just that we need. We have also written several mails to the Delhi government. They said, unless it is a 100-bedded hospital, we're not going to support you. No, come on. Are we going to be having these kind of rules and regulations? No, you simply talk about these things. When are you actually going to attend to the patients? So we thought it's okay, and if to pay from a pocket, we are going to start 30 beds.
No, and in fact, the tribe of good doers like you should increase. I remember a school poem here that Abu Ben, Madam, may his tribe increase. So the tribe of good doers and good Samaritans should increase, and in a more organized fashion. There are a few viewers who are asking questions. There's one viewer, Uday Pratap Singh. He asks, is it okay to donate blood after getting the COVID-19 vaccine? So there is a lot of small pockets of people, community who are organizing blood donation camps. So how safe is it to organize such camp, and who can donate blood?
First of all, blood donation is a very good, noble deed. So everybody should come forward and donate blood. Even as doctors, sometimes we go and donate blood. Blood is always required because whether COVID or not COVID, there are trauma cases, there are transplant cases, there are cancer cases. There are many surgeries which require blood transfusion. And, usually blood banks are always short of blood. So it's a good deed to go and donate blood. Every person, every citizen, whenever he or she is healthy, should go and give blood once in a while. And even students can go, young people should go for it. And if there are people even around 50, 60, it doesn't matter if they don't have any disease. Anyway, there is a screening done. And in case of COVID, if they're asking particularly, it depends on the antibodies, because, we are looking for plasma banks actually. Plasma donations were required in the recent COVID treatment cases. And that is why plasma banks were established. And that's why we needed more and more donors. But somehow WHO has now removed plasma and remdesivir, and they have said this is no more part of the treatment protocol. So now we are kind of relaxed on that.
So what will be the alternatives? Because everyone 4 months back, everyone was listening, getting to hear about plasma and remdesivir, and people were running from pillar to post to procure their quota of remdesivir. There was a lot of talk of black marketing of those drugs. So now what is the alternate line of treatment that experts and doctors are suggesting?
See, the treatment protocols have been varying, from starting of the pandemic. First pandemic, there were different treatment protocols. Now there are different treatment protocols, even prophylaxis. In the first pandemic, a lot of HCQS was sold. Everybody was taking HCQS for prophylaxis. Even ivermectin was taken for prophylaxis. Somehow there are a lot of studies which are saying that even HCQS patients have been succumbed to death. They have been catching infections. So there is no definitive role of these drugs. And similarly, plasma and remdesivir somehow have not been greatly useful if it has been a patient of an Indian mutant or a new mutant strain. Because in this second pandemic, we have been dealing with different new strains. So we do not know which patient is catching what kind of strain. So in some patients, it has given significant response. In some others, it has not. And similarly, in elderly people, we have found that first plasma was safe. Giving a second plasma was found dangerous. So, there are a lot of things that you have to keep looking into. We want to keep the patient safe finally and see how much useful it is. And COVID is a new subject. So, right, COVID is a new subject. There are many articles and publications still going on. There are no, final treatment protocols. Every day, as I said, WHO will release something else. The government guidelines will be something else. So we all have to keep, looking into those.
No, we all need to be cautious. That is a given. And at the same time, the only line of positivity is that many people get cured even after getting COVID. So that, I think, that is one point that needs to be reiterated. We have a lady viewer who's asking, Anjali Verma, that are there any consequences of vaccinating a diabetic patient? People on thinners or people who are diabetic, are there any consequences of vaccinating?
Yeah, there has been a false rumor roaming around, saying that Covishield vaccination is unsafe and it should not be given in people with clotting disorders, etc. I don't agree with this. For example, in my own hospital, all the healthcare workers have received Covishield. So whether Covishield or Covaxin, it really doesn't matter. And everyone should know that vaccination side effects are very minimal. It is less than 1%. So people should, take vaccinations and prevent themselves as much as possible. And the people who are succumbing to their death despite the vaccination, the percentage is very, very less. So still vaccination has a role and everybody should go for it. And diabetes or no diabetes, it is very safe.
Ma'am, you've been your hands are busy and your team is also equally busy. But you just mentioned that a lot of rumors are floating about multiple things. So, of course, reliance on WhatsApp University is not a solution at all. However, are there sources of information that people can rely when there are so many questions, so many doubts that are coming related to treatment, vaccination, and so on and so forth? And what role can the community play in dispelling myths and guiding people to right sources of information?
One is in Apollo Hospital, we have released a textbook on COVID-19, and all the consultants have contributed to different chapters in that COVID-19 textbook. So I can share the picture of that to you and you can share it to all the viewers. So it will be available in the market and on Amazon. So people can buy this textbook. It was actually edited by Dr. Manjit Kanwar, who is the leader of COVID team in our hospital. But all the consultants have contributed to different chapters. Even I've written 2 chapters. One is that, there is a lot of information in that. Even physicians can go through that. And apart from that, if patients have any doubts, all the doctors are available for online consultations and they can easily book on various apps and the doctors will be rightly advising them. So I would suggest it to all patients that not to take advice from their neighbors or from WhatsApp. They should directly come in touch with doctors.
Well, that was very useful. Some last bit of advice that Mr. Reddy or you would like to give to people who are showing symptoms and they are a little wary or scared about how to get treated themselves. So, of course, your center is there and you're doing really human service. But some last, any last thoughts, both of you?
Basically, when the people are with the family, when they come out here, stay alone, you understand actually what kind of mentality they will have. Whatever we take care of 100% with the efforts of, as human beings, but only we cannot go to them and sit with them and talk to them, chat with them, do that. You have, because here, that you have to maintain the distance and all. There sometimes what happens, some of the patients, they get irritated actually. They come out, they keep on singing something, some kind of psychic type. But for a period of time, actually, they get together. Because this center, the way we made it based on this kind of practical scenario last epidemic, actually, what we did, if you look at it, I can show you that how it looks actually,
Please.
Yeah, we should show you how our center looks like.
Wow, that's quite spacious and clean.
And I'm sure, corner, if you look at it,
I can already hear birds chirping, and it looks
Yes.
it yeah, it doesn't look stressful at all. I mean, I think this must be playing a role in
Yesterday,
curing.
yesterday there was one of our patient birthday. We called everybody. We had music. We cut the cake in front of. They were in first floor and second floor. We made it such a like same 4 days back. There was a sister we had birthday because we are trying to make them engaged. They should not feel that they are outside. Basically they are and also they are. That is what we are trying to do that actually.
Actually, COVID can affect the mental health. So we are taking care of our medical staff also. We want them to be cheerful as well. So we do celebrate birthdays of our staff members as well as patients. And of course, maintaining all the social distance norms. All the patients would be standing in their balconies, and the cake written by their name will be displaced in the center, and there'll be some music going on, and one person will cut it. So
that's very much reminiscent of the Italian way of singing, when people stood in their balconies and showed solidarity to each other. There is one question, ma'am.
Apart from that, we're also teaching yoga for them. So there is a yoga teacher who comes here every day, and he teaches yoga, and they're all these patients, in front of their rooms, in their balconies, they practice all these exercises, yoga and meditation.
Ma'am, thanks to you, thanks to you, we have used the platform of this program for generating more patient information, for dispelling myths. There's one more question: how much time the body takes to generate immunity after vaccination?
It is usually 4 weeks. People should go for checking their antibodies not before 4 weeks after the vaccination. And also there are interestingly, studies that some people do not produce any antibodies at all after the vaccination, and some people produce a lot of antibodies. Things are very, people who are on steroids or people having some immunodeficiency disorder, they produce less antibodies. But it is interesting that even normal people have been producing different levels of antibodies. Like, for example, there is a study in Apollo Hospital itself. Now we are about 250 senior doctors, and out of which 25 people have hardly produced any antibodies despite the 2 vaccinations. So it is a very difficult subject, very difficult to understand. In fact, we keep joking amongst ourselves, maybe these 25 got distilled water rather than the vaccination, and that's why they haven't produced antibodies. So it is really very hard to understand. I'm sure our scientists have done a good job. I'm sure they produce good vaccinations. But still, I emphasize that people who have not produced antibodies can go for booster doses.
However, in social work, we say that it's about greater common good. So when it comes to greater common good, do you recommend vaccination? It may be Moderna, it may be Pfizer, it may be Covishield or Covaxin.
Yes. Be it anything, go for vaccination for COVID, please. Save yourself, save your family.
Definitely. And on that note, I would extend my heartfelt thanks on behalf of City Spidey for sparing your time. And I'm sure this video, more people will also share this video so that it acts as a good patient information exercise in a bid to dispel myths, and as a good tool for the community to come together and fight this menace together. So thanks.
We also share our feedback of our patients with you. All the patients that get discharged will share those feedback. And also there are more beds available, so anybody is welcome to our center.
Surely, ma'am. Thank you for participating in that. Thank you.